Before this video starts, I'd just like to make an announcement. I have the Liberal Tears mug for $14.99 on my website. It is the first link in the description if you want to go pick one up. Don't worry if it breaks when it comes to your house. I'll send you another one for free out of my pocket. I don't care. I want you to get your Liberal Tear mug. It comes in Liberal Tears white with the face, black with the face, white without the face, and black without the face. So pick whichever one you want, and it'll come to your door in about 3 to 5 days. So that should be epic. First link in the description. Thank you. Let's go on with the video.
I'm a leftist, so I
well, thank you for coming. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. My brother's actually a big fan. He's up there.
So do you guys punch each other or what?
I come from a very conservative family, so you learn to get along with it, right?
So you're the black sheep? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I actually don't disagree with most of the points that you were making, or at least a lot of them.
So why are you a liberal?
If not that. Well, we're in a post-label society, right? No, but what I would say is that I disagree with a lot of your conclusions.
Okay.
For instance, institutional racism.
Yes.
I mean, you can even go back 40, 50 years.
Then there was institutional racism. I'm talking about now.
Yeah.
And I'll freely acknowledge, anyone who doesn't acknowledge there was institutional racism
For sure.
40 or 50 years ago is an idiot, obviously.
Absolutely, absolutely. But I mean, so to then go to the other extreme and to say that there is zero racism, institutional racism or something like that, 40 or 50 years, and I mean the fight for racial equality, I think even the most conservative person wouldn't say that it ended with the repeal of Jim Crow.
No, it didn't end with the repeal of Jim Crow, obviously. Yeah. Look at the 70s and the 80s, for
exactly.
sure.
Exactly.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
But there's been,
as
President Obama said, there's been enormous progress. He and I disagree on the level of progress. But, but here's the question.
Yeah.
When people use it, and I said before I don't like vague terms. The term institutional racism is vague. The reason I can say there was institutional racism 40 or 50 years ago is because I can name the specific institutions that were racist.
Absolutely.
So if you want to say institutional racism, I need you to tell me which institution is racist, and then we can go fight it together. The reason I object to the term is when people say institutional racism, generally it's just an excuse to do nothing and complain. Right? People say institutional racism, that creates poverty, therefore more government. That doesn't wash for me.
And so that makes sense to me. And so what I would say in response to that is that I mean it can be tough to identify or break down exactly what's going on. I mean,
Do you see the necessity for doing so, though?
100%. I mean, I also, you're obviously a free enterprise guy. Even when you can't necessarily break down things 100%, you still sometimes, have to make a decision. It's sometimes still useful to take action.
Well, you have to identify the problem before you can take proper action.
But so if we accept that the racism problem is not 100% resolved, or something like that. I mean, even just
but again, it's too vague a problem. So to say, I agree, racism is not 100% resolved. I said there are individuals who are racist, but you need to. It's not a matter of degrees. It's a matter of institutions that have been completely taken off the board as racist institutions. So to take Jim Crow as an example, state governments used to force restaurants not to allow black people into white areas. That's no longer the case. So I can easily say now that those restaurant laws are non-discriminatory. That's an institution that is no longer racist. Right, and that's because that institution had a racist law, and now that racist law is gone. If you can point to somebody who's a racist, I'm happy to talk about that person and whether they should have that job.
Absolutely, yeah, that makes sense. Outside of pointing to specific people, that's the only way at this point. As long as the laws are repealed, there is no institutional racism.
You can point to specific institutions too, but I need something to fight. You can't send me out there to fight windmills.
Yeah,
I want to fight racism too, but I need something more than windmills.
If we institutional racism, I mean, if we even just expand on the definition of that, even just a tiny bit, just from specific institutions, specific laws, and such, to racism prevalent throughout our institutions.
No, because again, you need to name the institution. It's too vague. I mean, the library is not racist. Like this is a problem. If you go into a doctor and you say, "I hurt," and the doctor says, "Where?" and you say, "I hurt," doctor's going to have a real tough time coming up with exactly how to cure you.
But that's his job.
No, and it would be unfair. It is not the doctor's job to tell you how you hurt. It's your job to tell the doctor where he hurts.
100. So yeah, but all right. So no, and I get what you're saying.
No, it's fine conversation. The problem is it's all out there in the ether. So if it can at some level be reduced down to something we can solve. You know, every problem has to be reduced to something you can solve. Otherwise,
Absolutely.
It's just bitching.
Absolutely, yeah. And so what I would say is then you're saying that conclusively it's unsolvable unless we concretely.
Because I don't think that it's asking too much of people. I don't think it's random for a doctor to say to you, are you talking about your head or are you talking about your leg? Right? I think that's a perfectly reasonable question for the doctor to ask, and I wouldn't call him a bad doctor who's ignoring the problem. If you just come in and give him a problem that he can't even have a shot at diagnosing.
Yeah, but that's not a perfect analogy either.
No, it isn't a perfect analogy. It's a very rough analogy.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, well, and so, I mean, just as an example, a mute patient, someone who can't communicate their illness or their problem whatsoever.
But is the implication that the black community is mute, or that the political community here is mute? Because that's
absolutely
not true.
I'm just making it more vague. Making the problem, identifying the problem, as in your analogy, more difficult.
What I'm saying is that, but I'm saying
like,
in the past it was not hard to identify the problem.
Yes.
This is the point that I'm making. Why is it so much harder to identify the problem now than it was before?
I mean, and I guess then, you know, as it seems like, you know, it depends on how you're looking at
because
the
things have been, the answer is because things have been mitigated, and now people struggle to actually identify the problem. So instead, they prefer to talk in vague terms, and then they can invoke government action. That's why.
And so I would say that that's not the only explanation. That isn't the only explanation.
Okay,
maybe there's a legitimate. Maybe it is legitimately difficult to identify.
And maybe when they legitimately give me a problem I can solve, we can get outside of our identity politics. But otherwise, what it comes down to, and this is an unsolvable problem that divides us all, is I'm black, and I say that there's institutional racism, and I'm not going to describe to you what that means or what that encompasses, but you're just going to have to believe me.
And
the answer is no, because we live in a common society.
I think that's an unfair characterization.
These
viewpoints that you're talking about.
Well, I don't think it's an unfair characterization of a lot of what the Congressional Black Caucus says, for example.
Well, all right. So, in that respect, I think that's.
And I don't mean to cut you off. I think it's been a good conversation, but I think you see where I'm coming from, which is, if you want me to be on your side, which I think I want to be on your side too, because we all want to fight the same thing here.
On your side.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So all you have to do is give me a solvable problem instead of just putting out there a vague phrase and then expecting that we're going to come to some sort of kumbaya moment, because it ain't happening.
But at least that's a different, you know, it's not incensed rhetoric against, you know.
I don't think it's incensed rhetoric to say that you have to identify the problem. So thank you.
Thank you.
Corporation and government to oppress the people.
I didn't say that. I said how many countries has white supremacy conquered?
I don't know how many.
He just asked me a question. I asked him a question. And it has nothing to do with Trump.
Wait, what's the answer to that question?
Huh?
You know the answer? What's the answer?
You should be there.
Shit.
I don't know. You guys are talking about conquering white people conquering shit.
Have I said white people conquered?
I didn't ask you. I didn't even ask you.
You said conservatives?
Yeah.
I said
We're all against fascism.
Fashion guys. Somebody asked a question and I responded with that. So if it wasn't you, then
KKKA.
Oh, that was good. I like your creativity. Creativity level 9 plus. Hey, I think you got a typo there.
I didn't see any clan members here personally.
Why do you always run to race?
I don't know where they're at.
Hey, where are the clan members at?
did I say anything about race?
Yes, you did. You said
Supporting
everyone
them.
Kind of off right there.
I'm talking to him.
point
I
about
said
race.
gangster. What does gangster have to do with race?
Nobody
I
said
did.
gangster.
I did. I
Why?
said that was so gangster what he just did, and you said, why does everything have to be about race?
You're the one that just said everyone here was a white male.
There's Hispanics here. I think you have a typo.
No, I don't.
C in it.
Because I don't want to.
Because you can't prove it.
There's one C in America.
Actually, America is predicated.
Is this white guilt at its finest? You feel guilty? Then why do you have that?
I feel empowered to make a change. That's what I do.
Don't you think racism came a long way from being fixed?
Here's the thing, America doesn't represent racism or
doesn't.
slavery. It represents the end of racism, end of slavery. Because there's plenty of other countries out there that have slavery, that have racism, all kinds of sex trafficking, all kinds of problems. And America is a place where everybody wants to come in because that stuff ended here. People in India... party free to yeah, absolutely. Republicans. Absolutely.
This is a super long pause. Three things that you guys don't like about Trump. Come on.
He's a racist.
How is he racist? How's he racist? How's he racist? You're accusing him of being racist. This time I didn't even ask.
Sweetheart, listen. If he wants to build a wall, that's racism.
How?
Let's hear it. Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
I'm a Latina and I agree. They should build a wall. This is getting out of control. You know what I say? I say fuck those illegal kids that get to have Medi-Cal, and my daughter-in-law cannot qualify for it. She has to work her ass off.
I'm second generation.
I feel like it.
I'm second generation Mexican. My grandma came here legally. She went through the due process. That's fine. He just doesn't want it legal.
I'm standing right here.
That's right, so am I.
Okay, listen.
Zero valid points have been raised by...
Okay, wait.
Did you know Mexico has a wall on their southern border?
Yeah.
What is that?
They never finished three things you don't like about Donald Trump. You never said the three things.
So why is it that Mexico wants us to give them willy-nilly open border and they kill the Central Americans when they come through their border?
I just want to respectfully hear your opinion because
I don't want to talk about
Do you have a door? Do you have a front door in your house?
Thank you. You can't explain your opinion. No, I can't. I just don't.
Do you have a front door in your house?
Look at us. You're right.
Okay. So what is the front door for?
I'm not even. Who is talking to who? Who's asking questions? I understand.
I've asked you. Why are you here in the first place?
I just said who is asking the questions. You just admitted it.
That's right. Yeah, why are they here? Right?
I thought this was a Trump rally. I don't think
Adios, mofos. I want to try and make you a Republican.
Okay, well you'll never do that.
You know, there's a difference in ignorance.
I don't have someone I'm saying. You can't say what.
Because you're ignorant.
I have no.
She built the wall. You really don't understand.
Wait, but actually, throw back to like when you were here earlier. Why were you questioning us about capitalism, though?
Commie protesters.
Nobody said I'm not.
My daughter-in-law, she makes like
Yeah, there's a difference between illegal and legal immigration.
If you have no points, then you have raised 0 points.
Why am I here? Am I here to raise money?
Well, but you haven't raised it.
It doesn't matter. I'm not here.
Why are you
All
here?
I've heard so far is a lot of yelling, a lot of screaming,
I'm not
blah,
here
blah,
to
blah.
do that.
You must have gotten involved in an argument somehow.
I'm here to
You never finished the three things you don't like about Trump.
It doesn't matter. What's it matter? Why are you so worried about what we think?
Like trying to.
We're sitting here stuck in between a whole bunch of people.
Would you like to leave? Leave! Get the fuck out of here!
Why don't you get out of here?
You were talking about how the U.S. doesn't give the adequate amount of resources to Native Americans. You had said something along those lines.
You're on the wall! Build 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 the wall! this with the goods and services. We give.
Fuck Donald Trump! 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 USA! 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 USA!
We have team, guys, turn this way. We have team.
Got him motivated.
We have tape. We're actually looking for
We got 2 down. You guys are 2 down. Donald Trump! Hello, everyone. Hey, I'm just stopping by to remind you that liberals are insane. Social justice warriors are becoming more violent and triggered than ever before. Anyways, be sure to subscribe to KGP TV on YouTube and have a blessed day. Yeah, man.